It's a whole new season. Welcome to 2020, where our vision scores something. There's a 2020 vision joke in there somewhere, and let's all laugh along. A whole bunch changed this season, so let's get into it. The map changes now. The first 10 to 15 minutes are about the same as last year, with one exception. Both the top and bottom lane have an alcove to hide, gank, or play around the Mexican hat with. It's pretty cool. Once 2 dragons have been killed, though, the map changes theme and reshapes. The Infernal Rift removes some terrain and brush, the Ocean Rift gets extra brush and honey fruit, the Mountain Rift gets extra terrain, and the Cloud Rift grants extra movement speed when you're near the red and blue buff camps. From that point on, only drakes of that element spawn for the rest of the game. Elemental drakes themselves are different. In general, drake buffs are weaker than before, but there's a huge prize at the end if you can claim 4 of them. The first team to kill 4 elemental drakes gets a game-long buff called a Dragon Soul. The buff matches the flavor of the rift. The Infernal Soul gives the whole squad a low cooldown burst of AoE damage, similar to Luden's Echo. The Ocean Soul gives the team massive health and mana regen in combat. The Mountain Soul gives everyone a sizable shield that recharges out of combat. And the Cloud Soul grants movement speed that gets heavily increased when you cast your ultimate. And remember, it's not after 4 drakes have been killed, it's the team who kills 4 drakes. Once a Dragon Soul has been claimed, the only thing that'll spawn in the pit is the Elder Dragon. Elder Dragons still provide that team-wide damage burn for a few minutes, but instead of amplifying elemental drake buffs, it bestows an automatic execute on any champion you chunk below 20% health. So in summary, elemental drakes are weaker up until you claim a Dragon Soul or the Elder Dragon, at which point the killing team gets a huge boost in power, which means if you still manage to lose, it'll feel extra bad. Rift Herald can spawn a second time now, but not until after turret plates have fallen. Overall, Herald deals more damage to turrets, but also dies a whole lot faster. Jungle camps are worth less gold and experience individually, but their respawn times got faster. So far, this change has ended up rather unpopular with junglers, and if they keep the same pacing of farming and ganking as before, they're definitely going to have fewer resources. Junglers who focus on farming more, and especially those who put extra emphasis on the more rewarding Gromp, will get closer to their old power level. Theoretically, there is more total gold and XP per minute for power farming, but that's pretty hard to reach. In addition, the first 2 elemental drakes are significantly squishier than last year, so you may see junglers really focus on soloing drakes early game. Several sets of items got changed. First, let's talk about lethality items. Sanguine Blade now exists, aimed at split pushers and assassins. As long as there are less than 2 enemy champions nearby, you get a bunch of extra lethality and attack speed. It's a solid item for solo laners and for junglers. Duskblade lost its ward-killing passive, but has more offensive stats, and that passive moved to a new item called Umbral Glaive. As with all lethality items, it's pretty efficient, and in this case, it's relatively inexpensive, making it really easy to access ward-killing if you want it. Edge of Night got its spell blocking active replaced with a passive spell shield, much like Banshee's Veil. It's a pretty good item too. Second, support items got changed. Ancient Coin is gone, and in its place, Relic Shield and Spell Thieves got duplicate versions that grant attack damage instead of ability power. You also don't have to pay for the items beyond the first tier. Frostfang, Targons, and the tier 3 versions of all support items are free. You get the bonus stats and the wards simply by earning gold with the items themselves. So now, you can go build that Liandry's on Zyra or Stoneplate on Leona from your very first recall. Third, crit items got updated. Stormrazor has crit on it, and it's actually a good item now. Arguably the best first item for most crit marksmen. Meanwhile, Rapid Fire Cannon and Static Shiv now stack their Energize damages on top of one another, but Energize itself doesn't charge as fast, so Energizer builds really aren't that strong. Finally, Spear of Shojin, Zrot Portal, Ohm-Wrecker, and Raptor Cloak are gone from the game, and barely anyone misses them. And that's everything. Don't mind the narration bar right down there, it's lying to you. Bye. Who am I kidding? We're not done. I want to be on camera longer. A few runes got changes that matter. Kleptomancy is gone, and it's replaced by my personal favorite keystone, Omnistone. In essence, it's every keystone in the game given to you one at a time, semi-randomly. It can give you Predator a lot when you're alone in the jungle or base, which is pretty sweet, and doesn't give you Aftershock if you don't have crowd control. I don't expect we'll see a lot of it, but I still think it's super cool. Conqueror got changes that make it good on ranged champions, so expect to see a lot of Conqueror for Cassiopeia and things like that. It also doesn't give partial true damage anymore, meaning it doesn't wreck tanks nearly as hard, so we'll see solo lane tanks back in the meta. Presence of Mind now grants permanent max mana on kill or assist instead of ultimate CDR, which makes it the best Kassadin rune in the game. And Nimbus Cloak gives movement speed on Summoner Spell instead of ultimate, which no one cares about. Since we all watched Worlds together, a couple new champions have come out, namely Aphelios and Senna. Set is not enabled here for week 1 of the LCS or LEC. Senna's a brand new marksman support, and she's pretty easy to predict. We saw a lot of her in the 2 biggest off-season tournaments, Kespa Cup and Demacia Cup, full of LCK and LPL teams respectively. She was mostly played as the primary carry in the bottom lane, as opposed to support though. Aphelios is more of a mystery. He's intended as a bottom lane carry marksman, and he's certainly filling that role. Players are putting a lot of time on him in solo queue, and the pick and ban rates are incredibly high there. He's definitely getting played though. If you watch LPL games, he's in almost every single one of them. So we will definitely see Aphelios in the LEC and the LCS. We've also seen some remasters, which are small-scale reworks to Garen, Shaco, Diana, Yuumi, and Sylas. So far, it's meant Yuumi has disappeared from pro play, and I think Sylas he's gone for now as well, despite having a healthier kit. So we'll see. We didn't see the rest of those champions very much before, and we still won't. Now, here on the Phreak Show, I absolutely love to cheat and pretend I'm smart when I'm not, because let's be clear, I sometimes look smart. The LPL played a full week of games before Chinese New Year, so I have a few dozen games to predict the LCS meta on. Akali and Kiana are still OP in pro play and are going to get picked or banned almost every single game. People finally realized Rumble is absurd and he's a mid laner now. Meanwhile, Mordekaiser had always found a home in the LPL, but he's way more popular now, and we'll see a lot more teams pick him up in the top lane now. Down to the bot lane, Aphelios is everywhere, and so is Misfortune. Yep, Misfortune is meta now, building tons of raw attack damage and crit, and Elise is a top-tier jungler for her early gank presser, joining Kiana, and for the most part, we're going to see tank engage supports like Leona and Nautilus. Overall, the games so far have been very aggressive, but that might just be the LPL talking. Early game matters, and late game matters too. It's been a lot of fun to watch, so stay tuned for a lot of fun in the LCS and LEC. And the LCS is going to win Worlds this year.